Sharks on freshwater rods? Yep, you heard it right. Smoothhounds to be precise. One of the UK's more common shark species. They arrive on the south coast from around May and provide wonderful sport throughout the summer. They have no teeth as such like other species of shark, but powerful crushing pads, and they love nothing more than to chomp on hardback crabs. So my first port of call was the creek, armed with a pair of wellies, a bucket and a pair of gloves. I headed for a spot on the Solent, a great area for targeting gummy sharks as they're called in some parts. It was a glorious afternoon and I'd be fishing up until dusk. And what's this about freshwater rods, I hear you ask? Well, I've always been impressed with how hard fighting smoothhounds are, stripping line off the reel, exhilarating fun. And I've always thought about how much fun they'd be on carp rods. So, for this session, I came armed with only a pair of 12-foot 3-pound test curve carp rods. This was going to be electric, if we could find some fish. There was a cooling onshore breeze which felt lovely. I set up the shelter and began assembling the kit ready for the session ahead. It felt slightly weird as the last time I used these carp rods was in France, well over a year ago. In fact, the tubing in carp leads were still attached, so I replaced them for quick clips, attached pulley rigs armed with 4.0 Varivas BMX hooks. Onto these went the crabs bound with elastic and cast into the sea at around 40 to 50 yards. Considering it was such a gorgeous evening, I was surprised there weren't more people out enjoying it, fishing or bathing. It was relatively empty apart from a couple of swimmers, but don't get me wrong, I certainly wasn't going to complain about it. With the grip lead set firmly in the seabed, I attached a bell to the rod tip, just in case I missed a run while setting everything else up. Smoothhounds can pull your tripod over with ease if you're not careful. With the rods out, it was time to lay on the beach, gaze at the rod tips and enjoy the late afternoon. A few cast in and things were looking quiet, but with the tide advancing and the evening drawing in, I felt confident that something would happen. I was alerted to a jiggle on the rod tip. It hit me like an electric shock. I stared hard and a few seconds later the classic bounce bounce and then the line fell slack. I jumped up from the shingle and bent into the first hound of the evening. The rod did exactly what I expected it to do, bend, and bend a lot. It was marvellous fun. I recommend to anyone to give this a try. If you think hounds fight hard, Try it on carp rods. Trust me, it's exhilarating. Now I'm an angler of many disciplines. Beach, boat, river or lake. It depends on what takes my fancy in any given moment. But right there, stood on the beach on an incredible summer's day, bent into a hard-fighting smoothhound on light tackle, that just about tops the lot. I pumped her ashore, having to stop every so often for her to strip some more line off the reel. My heart was in my mouth, and I prayed the hook would stay in. After an epic battle, I beached my prize, a hound of around 8 pounds, posing beautifully for the camera, with a large lump of crab still hanging from its mouth. Incidentally, that one came to a large softback crab. With the rods back out, I was happy, and a massive smile beamed. I was chatting to my good friend Will of Local Marks Fishing, who had set up close by when the second fish struck. I had no time to film the battle, but it was just as fierce as the first fish, possibly stronger. Another stunning hound was landed, this one going slightly into double figures. Will was catching well too. The evening was becoming more and more beautiful with every passing minute, and the world was a fantastic place to be. That signalled the start of a hectic spell for both me and Will, with fish hitting our crab baits with increasing regularity. Some fish dropped the bait shortly after hooking up. It happens, but most were successfully landed. It was both hectic and wonderful in equal measures. It was one of the most enchanting sunsets I'd ever seen, and it was becoming quite tricky to concentrate on the rods. I had work early the following morning, so as dusk took hold, it was time for me to be away. A session I'd remember for a very long time. Amazing fishing, an awesome sunset, and marvellous company. In the words of a good friend, it was absolutely magic. All good things have to come to an end at some point, but I'll be back, somewhere, sometime, with yet another crazy idea, no doubt.